Well, hello, and welcome to the Mills Connection Show. I'm your host, Carla Mills Tatum. Today's topic is AIDS and HIV. I have Alex, I have Greg, and I have Jeff. All right, Alex, I want you to talk about our topic is AIDS and HIV. Tell me your background.
Well, my name's originally Alejandro Lopez, so you can pronounce it, just go with that.
Alex for me. Go ahead.
But for me, right now, I'm classified as having being HIV positive. When I first moved here in 1997, I was below 200 T cells, which is classified as being diagnosed medically as having AIDS.
Okay.
It's just that's the medical term. But anything over 200 T cells, that's HIV positive. So, but I'm a long-term survivor, and I have 19 years. So.
Oh, wow. All right. All right, Greg.
My name is Greg Smith. I'm the Executive Director for the HIV Intervention Project, also known as HIP. And we do street outreach in the community and links to care, helping folks who live with HIV who are not in care get into care, as well as helping high-risk individuals decrease their risk by addressing homelessness, religious convictions, emotional and physical abuse. And the whole goal of our program is helping individuals get to the next level. And so we do street outreach. We don't be judgmental. We try to be instrumental.
All right. Jeff?
And I'm the Executive Director of Georgia Equality, and one of the programs that we run is called the Georgia HIV Advocacy Network. We work on advocacy and policy issues, a lot of training in the community, and I have actually been active in the fight against HIV and AIDS since I was a college student, which was quite some time ago. I actually started this in 1984 and have been working in it in one way or another since then.
All right, I'm going to ask a series of questions, and we can just all have a conversation. What is the difference between HIV and AIDS?
Well, Alex, I think, had already addressed a little bit of that.
Okay.
There certainly is a difference in terms of a medical diagnosis. And certainly in the early 80s, when this first came about and people were dying, that's when AIDS as a syndrome was discovered. Once we found out that it was the virus HIV that caused it, really now it's more like asymptomatic and symptomatic HIV status, if you really think about it that way, as opposed to HIV and AIDS. So once someone has HIV, they have the virus with them. And that's when people need to seek medical care, learn how to take care of themselves, and that's when they can go on treatment and live a long life.
Are there symptoms?
There really are not symptoms of HIV infection itself. There are a variety of diseases that people can get, pneumonia, cancer, those sorts of things once someone has progressed to an AIDS diagnosis. But with HIV, there's really not symptoms that people can come up with, and that's why I think testing for HIV is something that's so important that people do, because people can be infected with HIV for years and years and years and not know it.
Oh, wow. All right, what are the causes of HIV and AIDS? What causes it? Is it just sex?
Well, the main modes of transmission is sexual intercourse, IV drug usage, and mother to baby. Currently, right now, we have a very low level of babies living with HIV because they have been able to treat the babies with the various drug combinations that many babies seroconvert once they become at a certain age. IV drug usage is considered to be another high rate of infection. There's a high rate of infection in the Eastern Europe corridor with HIV, and when you think about the Afghanistan war, one of the greatest challenges with the HIV and IV drug usage is that in Afghanistan now, they have a large problem with HIV rise because of the needle exchange challenges they're having. In our country, we have the IV drug usage, and we do have needle exchange programs to address that. The highest rate of infection so far as in the sexual context is men who have sex with men. The highest rate within that population, and this is where we go to, in the African American community, we have the highest percentage of increases, but not the highest numbers. The highest percentage of increases that, based on us being 12% of the population, we are showing the fastest rate of percentage in our population of growing. Still in the European American community, they are the greater number of those folks infected.
All right. What if you don't have health insurance?
Well, health insurance should not prevent anybody from going in. We actually have a number of governmental programs. The cornerstone is really what's called the Ryan White program. It was named after a young boy who died of AIDS, one of the early champions. And this is a program that the federal government set up into place in 1990. It has grown to be over a $2.5 billion program today. It serves here in just the metro Atlanta area alone about 11,000 people every year receive some sort of care or service through the Ryan White program.
All right, this one's for you, Alex, because you actually have AIDS, correct?
Yes.
Is it a death sentence?
It's not. It's not.
Talk about it.
Kind of before backing up, just one more with regards to insurance. With me, the difference was I didn't have insurance at the beginning, and then my late partner, actually, he's a Navy. He was a Navy veteran. And he says, well, you can go to the VA and get treated there. So it's like, who's good? There will not see me because I'm HIV positive. And at the same time, I didn't want to take the risk of losing whatever benefits I did have with VA. So he finally took me there to visit. But he actually introduced me to his nurse, and that's how I was introduced to the VA. And I was enrolled. So the VA actually takes care of me. I do have insurance through my employer. Before then, the insurance didn't matter because the VA paid for everything. But now the VA takes in the employer's insurance, and they pay for the rest, which actually, with the extra revenue they generate through the insurance that I have, qualifies other veterans for other services they need.
So you got AIDS from your partner?
Actually, no. Actually,
Okay.
that was way back then, even way before I met him.
Okay. Do you know
So-
how? Do you know how you got it?
Having sex with men.
Okay.
Unprotected sex.
Okay.
Pretty much what it is.
Okay.
But that's how it is. But as far as insurance, I go through the VA, and I have my own personal insurance also.
right.
And
But anybody else? There are other what you're saying is there's other programs out there.
Yes.
All right. God, this is a hard one. I'm going to forget these questions. I want you to talk some more about it. As far as what do you do? I mean, a person, we keep talking in our society right now that you're supposed to have safe sex, but people aren't having safe sex. So what is it that we're supposed to do to help people?
Well, I think shows like this are so important because as someone who has been so actively involved for 25 years in this fight, one of the things that scares me the most is that people, I think, in our society today are very aware of the impact of AIDS in Africa, and they've forgotten that it's here at home as well. We have over 1.2 million people in America currently living with HIV and AIDS.
Wow.
We estimate that there are 50,000 people here in the state of Georgia alone.
50,000?
50,000. We know that there's been about 34,000 people that have been diagnosed and they're living with HIV and AIDS. They're getting care and treatment, but as many as 25 to 33% of people who are HIV positive don't know their HIV status. So first of all, you've got to get tested. You've got to know your status. It's very, very scary, but there's so much hope. People can live a relatively normal life, a relatively long life, but only if they know their status, by getting tested and then immediately getting into medical care and the support systems that exist for people.
All right, for the people who are watching, what is it that we can do to stop all this AIDS? Is there anything that we can do?
Well, the first thing that people need to do is certainly to be out and get tested. That's the first most important step that anyone can take, is to know their HIV status. It can be so scary to get a test, but the only way you can get the hope, the only way that you can live your life is if you know your status. And as many as 25 to 33% of people who are HIV positive don't yet know their status. So that's where you start with that.
Okay, the people who are watching, is there places that you can name where people can go for free to get tested?
Well, you can actually visit online. You can go to hivtest.org and put in your zip code, and it can give you testing sites that are close in your area, whether they're free, anonymous testing, or confidential testing. In anonymous testing, you don't give your name, it's just, and they give you your, you test and they give you your results. Confidential testing, they take your name, and then you can get a printout or get certification that you actually tested. But they're all, again, my organization being HIP, we're about keeping it real. And so even when we have men who love men, men who have sex with men, we talk to them about going getting tested, but also to here's some healthy places to go get tested. So there's things that people should go into an organization, and before they take the test, be able to have someone who can talk to them, do the pre and post test counseling, and that's very important.
Well, instead of men and men, but there's a lot of heterosexual people, just regular folks that are getting it. What are the numbers? And I've been hearing a lot of people saying that older people are getting AIDS. Is that true?
Well, anyone who is sexually active is at risk of being exposed to HIV, and that's just a fact of life, and it's a fact of life that we've lived with now for almost 30 years. But it's not something that should terrify people, because HIV, while it's still a deadly virus, it's a very, very easy virus to keep from transmitting on to someone else or to keep from catching yourself. And that's using condoms effectively and every time you have sex. And that really is the bottom line. I mean, if people who are sexually active remember how to use condoms and use them consistently and correctly, they don't have to worry that much about contracting HIV.
The fact of the matter that if you test negative 1 year, test again the following year. With me, I tested every single year. 89, 90, 91, 92. I kept in the same cycle, same time. 1 year I didn't make it in April, February. My month passed, so I said I donate blood. So because I was still negative all those years. So one time, all of a sudden after I donated blood, I got a phone call. Said, Mr. Lopez would like to come in speak to you with regard to your donation, blood donation. I went into the office. March 20, 1993, and the lady told me, I just want to let you know that you've tested positive, and we did 2 tests, Western blot and the other one, and both of them came out as positive. So I was thinking to myself, like, crap, there I go. And at the moment, there was only AZT, which is the main drug that we're using, but the fact was that you have to keep on testing yourself. If you don't test, then you don't know that other person. I mean, it gets to the point to where you don't know that person can tell you that they're negative, and you don't know. You just have to trust them. But at the same time, if you're going to have sex with somebody else, use a condom, male or gay, straight, or whatever. Because I do hear from my straight girl friends that it come to me like, oh, I know I'm safe. It's like, don't even think about not using a condom. The fact I'm on the pill. But still, there's, besides HIV AIDS, there's also STDs. And they're really, really high up there now. But the fact is, get tested, know your status.
All right, we are going to get to the question and answer segment of our show. We'll be back in just a moment.
I'm Tom Glenn. I have a 19-year-old living with me, my nephew, for a year, going to school. What would be your suggestion as far as talking to him about sex, safe sex? I'm kind of more of a direct person, but I'm just not sure if he could take it direct, you know.
Well, one of the conversations about having a conversation with a young person about sex is that talk with them like you want someone to talk to you. One of the things about teenagers, they want to be heard. So it's about listening to them. and not dictating to them, because it's a conversation, and keeping in our minds that sex is only dirty because we put it in the gutter.
Right.
That's good.